Hi there, my name is Nick McEwen Hall from The Mental Health Coach, and in this presentation I'm going to show you a little bit about behind the scenes of the Rainbow Youth Mental Health First Aid Program. This is one of the best things I've ever done in my whole career. I love this program and I want to show you all about it. Let's have a look. Before we start, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which we're meeting today, and I'd like to pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and of course pay our respects to any Aboriginal elders of other communities that might be here with us today. The other acknowledgement I always do is acknowledging the lived experience of mental health and mental illness. As we know, it's a common experience here in Australia and it's unlikely that we haven't been affected in some way. So just take a little moment to acknowledge that here. So Rainbow Mental Health First Aid came about a little while ago as I was thinking about the challenges that faced our community and in particular the young people in our community. It's an idea I came up with in a moment where I was reflecting on what was going on and how we could actually go right to the core of it and start to address and support some of these issues that our young LGBTQIA+ people were going through. So I want to give you a little bit of a background on what Rainbow Mental Health First Aid is. In 2022, the Mental Health Coach was awarded a YAC-VIC Hay Grant, and this was to deliver the program across Victoria. And to do this, we worked with a range of partners to achieve it. We worked with a whole range of partners to do this. And then in 2023, we partner with youth projects to trial the program in regional Victoria using our original program methodology. And so what we've seen is over the last couple of years, we've delivered this program to over 100 people. And in 2023, we were awarded another Hay Grant to run even more, which is super exciting news. And I'll fill you in about all of that a little bit later. So the program that we ran was the Youth Mental Health First Aid program from Mental Health First Aid Australia, and this course is designed for adults over 18 to learn the skills of how to support the mental health and wellbeing of young people, so adolescents 16 to 25 years old, but of course the skills that we learn in this course can be applied to other adults as well. And what I like most about this program is that it's completely evidence-based and incorporates lived experience in teaching us what to do. And this is really important because it means that what we're learning is things that people with lived experience have said are useful. And this course, at the core of it, teaches us how to spot the signs when someone might be struggling with a mental health problem, and then it goes on to show us an evidence-based model for how to support them. Much like physical first aid has a model, we have a model in mental health first aid. Now the course covers a range of scenarios, both crisis and not crisis, and we look at the main mental health problems that young people experience, as well as the crisis situations that those young people might experience from a mental health perspective. And we cover both of these so that we're fully resourced to support people who are in crisis, but also people who may not be in crisis, but definitely still need some support. Now, there's a lot of reasons why we would need a rainbow-specific version of our youth mental health first aid training, and a lot of them come from reading this report. Write themselves in 4. If you haven't read this report, do a bit of a Google. It's a really wonderful piece of research, quite confronting at times, but really gives us a good, clear understanding about what our community needs. And some of the stats in here that we use were these. And number one is that the report shows that 81% of young people reported high or very high levels of distress in the 4 weeks prior to being surveyed. The second point was that for 16 and 17-year-olds in the study versus the general population, they were more than 3 times higher distress. So they were experiencing more than 3 times the amount of distress in the general population, which is quite high. Over half of all the participants and almost 60% of 16 to 17-year-olds were experiencing more than 5 times higher rates of suicidal ideation. And the last one here is that it shows that accessing professional support after self-harm or suicide attempt is really important, but just over half access support. And while that's not a bad number, it could certainly be a lot higher. Some of the other reasons that we think that doing a rainbow-specific version of the program is really important include these things. And number one is that we know that young people tend to turn to each other for support rather than turning to professionals. And that can be for a range of reasons, including the fact that the help-seeking context, can be unwelcoming, and this can in turn reduce help-seeking. So where young people turn to for support can be quite unwelcoming to them based on their experience. And so they're not really going to go to those supports without a lot of encouragement. And we know that professional support is an important part of this process for recovery and support. So really important that we give our young people evidence-based approaches that they can use, particularly given that we exist in a world where there's a lot of misinformation around. So let me take you through what we said we were going to do when we originally applied for our HAY funding back in 2021. And of course, like all best laid plans, things change along the way, but for us, the changes were actually for the better. So what we originally set out to do was to deliver youth mental health first aid training in this rainbow context to 36 young people. And this could have been young LGBTQIA plus folks, or it could be anyone that works with them. So friends, families, allies, teachers, community workers and the like. So it was open to young people who identified as LGBTQIA plus, but also the people around them. We also said that we'd do 2 metro and 1 regionally focused course. And at the time, we said we'd deliver online because thanks COVID. The other part of the program was also that we were going to provide 6 months of follow-up support to the participants so that they could reach out afterwards if they needed that. So this was all happening during COVID times. So of course, what we set out to do wasn't exactly what we ended up doing, but it was a good story in the end because COVID restrictions eased, which meant that we could now take the training face to face, which was really great because it meant that we could deliver to a lot more people. And you'll see here on the screen some of our programs from our first group of people that went through and they did their program with us there at Youth Projects. The other thing that we knew that we had to do from reading the Writing Themselves In For report was to create a safe space. And that's because in that report, 74% or just over of participants reported sometimes or frequently hearing negative remarks regarding sexuality in their educational setting. So from this data, we knew that we had to create an environment that was very safe and supportive for everyone who was coming. And so we ran entry to the program by an expression of interest process, which proved to be a really great strategy to use because it resulted in some feedback like this. And I'm going to let you pause here for a second and read these comments because it really helps to underpin exactly why we went to the lengths we did to create this safe space. So as I mentioned before, we've run more programs than this, but the first 3 programs that we ran across Victoria were in Melbourne City, Coburg and Wodonga. And then we of course had those Zoom-based follow-up support sessions. And here on the screen, you can see some photos from all the different sessions that we've run. We had a really great, wonderful, diverse bunch of people in these courses. And that absolutely was a huge learning for us that actually the more diverse the group is, the better this course was going to be. So now let me walk you through the results from those first 3 programs. And I've got to say right at this point that the results we got on this course and on this program were some of the most meaningful things I've ever done in my whole career. I'm so proud of these. First of all, we did say that we were going to work with 36 young people, but with that COVID flip going back to face, it actually meant that we were able to train 64 people. And of course, since then, we've also delivered 3 programs in regional Victoria. So this number's sitting well into the 100 plus. Now, the other really important thing for us to mention here is that no matter where we went to run this program, we had much more demand than we had available places. So that went at about 3 to 1. So if we had, 36 places to offer, we had at least 120 people apply. So this is a course that was hugely in demand and highly subscribed. One of the key outcomes of this program that we wanted to land on was that we gave participants an increased sense of confidence about helping somebody else with a mental health problem. And we measured this after training by asking them that what their confidence was before training. And you can see here that before training, the average was 6 out of 10, with a fairly even spread from sort of 3 to 10 out of 10. And this is reflective of the breadth of people we had in the group. We had some people who were coming from a professional lens, who had training in this space, so would be very confident. And then we had people who didn't have any of those skills, who weren't feeling very confident. Now, I'm so happy to see that after training, the average rating was 9. You can see the spread here was a lot smaller, between 7 to 10, landing on an average rating of 9 out of 10. I'm so happy with this result. It's a great result for our community. Now, I'm so proud of this result here. We asked people that participated in the program how satisfied they were with the facilitator. And in this case, so far, all 6 programs we've done have been myself as a facilitator. Now, whilst I'm very proud of this result for me, I'm also proud of the result that it created for the participants, because it was a direct reflection of how safe the space was. And that allowed people to really open up, share their stories, and learn in a safe, connected, supported environment. And we would see comment after comment about that in the feedback, which I'll show you later on. Now, when we asked people overall how they found the program, we got this feedback on the screen. I'm so proud of this, but it just goes to show just how important this training is for our young LGBTQIA+ people. They need these supports, they need this knowledge, and they're deeply thankful. So we are thrilled with this result overall. A brilliant outcome for us at the Mental Health Coach, but also for our community. Now, whenever I do feedback and I circulate feedback, I always make sure that I'm including comments verbatim. So I don't change these comments at all from what participants submit. And overwhelmingly, the feedback has been incredible. I'm going to let you just pause here for a second and read some of these comments, and they'll give you an insight into just how the participants found the training. Now, the information I'm about to put on this slide is perhaps the core reason of why this program is so important for our community, and I'm deeply proud of what I'm about to share with you. After the training, we invited people to come back and attend Zoom sessions with us to check in with them about how they're going applying their skills, what they've been doing with them, and to hear stories. Now, of the people that attended, we were so lucky and privileged to hear story after story of how they'd gone away from the training and used their skills. And I'm so proud of my participants to share with you that through this storytelling, we know that these skills that we had taught people in the programs have gone on to save 3 young LGBTQIA+ lives from suicide. I'm so proud of my participants for getting these outcomes for these 3 people, and we know that there's more than this. So this number here just goes to show how important it is that our young LGBTQIA+ people have the skills and support to support one another through tough times. Now, by this point, you might be wondering how you can get involved in Rainbow Youth Mental Health First Aid. And there's a few different ways that you can do that. First of all is join us at one of our upcoming programs. We'll be running more of these across Melbourne and Victoria this year. So jump onto the website and express your interest. I'm going to show you how to do that in a moment. The second way is that we can come and run a program for you in your community. So if you're listening to this and you're in a community that could benefit from this training, whatever that community might be, whether it's an organisational community or a local council area or whatever it might be, and you think that your community could benefit from a Rainbow Mental Health First Aid program, then please get in touch and we can do that for you. And the third way is to sponsor a program for a community of your choice, anywhere in the country. We're looking for people to sponsor programs for communities in need, and you can do that really easily by getting in touch with us here at the Mental Health Coach. So thank you so much for coming and listening to this video. It's a real pleasure to have shared this information with you. Like I said at the very start of the video, this is some of the work that I just will reflect back on in my life and think it's a real highlight of my career, a real privilege to work with this community. So a big thank you to everyone who's been involved, to our partners, our participants, everybody who's been involved in bringing this program to life. If you'd like more information about the program, jump onto the website or scan that QR code and we'll be more than happy to share that with you. Thanks so much. My name is Nick McEwen Hall and I'm the Mental Health Coach.